the central government has informed the Supreme Court that it has transferred the probe into the Manipur viral video case. This case has been transferred to the Central Bureau of Investigation, the CBI. Now, there have been, fast-paced developments finally that are taking place in Manipur. It is being told, as per government sources, that Prime Minister Narendra Modi is closely watching the situation. He is getting briefs from authorities, from the state government, from the central agencies, as many as 3 times a day. Not just that, the big development that has taken place yesterday is that the CBI has been handed over the case of this viral video. There are already 7 arrests that had been made by the Manipur police. There are at least 35,000 CRPF forces additionally that have now been deployed in Manipur. There are these mine protected vehicles that have been brought in by the army to better control the arsonists that have gotten control of weapons. There are also information pouring in that the border along Manipur has also been in the process of being sealed. There are these fences that are being put up along the border. This obviously in wake of the infiltration that took place in the last 2-3 days of as many as 700 and more of these Myanmaris into Manipur. Not to mention, there are thousands and thousands, at least 40,000 and more of these Myanmaris that have crossed the border and are inhabiting Manipur and Mizoram ever since the Myanmar 2021 civil war crisis emerged. On all these big developments that are taking place, the big question continues to be, is this enough? Is the central government now doing enough? Will this quell the violence that is been going on in Manipur for the last 3 months and more? Let's open up this discussion. On the telecast with me are Major General A.K. Sivach. Amidst these fast-paced developments that have finally taken place with the appeals and demands and suggestions and advices that had been put out, that why is the case not being handed over to the CBI? Why is there not more CRPF presence? Should Manipur at this point of time be brought into presidential rule? Should there be army forces that need to be deployed and take control of the situation? There has finally been some action. But the question being, is this enough?
Megha, this is the beginning. I think we have to give a chance to the central government now. They are trying their best. Now, 3-4 things which have positively occurred is, very rightly, that affidavit which has been filed in Supreme Court by the Secretary, Home Secretary Ajay Kumar Bhalla, clearly say that the cases are handed over to CBI, especially the rape case where the 2 women were paraded disrobed and then paraded naked on 4th May. That case has been now handed over to CBI. All the cases they have requested to the court should be tried outside Manipur. I suppose that's a very correct action which is taken. The second action, which is a very good action, is the trying to seal the border. Time and again everyone is telling that until unless this border between Myanmar and Manipur is not sealed, because 16 kilometers you can go on the either side, and that was creating problem. Lot of Chin population has come from there, settled down in Kuki areas. Also, a lot of weapons have come. 4,500 weapons were looted from police armory within Manipur, and another 5,000 have come from Myanmar. And that was what was creating a lot of confusion, because once the society is armed, once the militants have been given arms, the whole environment was charged. I suppose now the action is being taken. Cordon search operation will be conducted by the army. There will be a combing operation wherein these weapons have to be brought back. Also, a buffer zone has been created now between both the community Metis and also Kuki, where the Central Reserve Force and the CAPF will be guarding it. I suppose that they are now moving on a correct direction. And also what they are trying to do is to ensure that any violence which takes place against women, that the police station has to immediately inform the DGP. So that is again a correct step. Overall, to me, it looks like that the central government is very keen that peace must prevail, and the people who are affected by violence should be adequately compensated. and some sort of resilience should be bring in the society where the people start feeling confident that yes, the peace is prevailing. The distrust and mistrust which have been created between two communities, it will take certainly takes a long time to come. But a beginning has been made. I suppose we should give more time to the central government. I think central government seemingly looks to be now that they mean business. Mega.
RVS Mani, we're talking about internal security. Is this enough that is being done by the central government, by the CRPF? And along the border also the situation is extremely tense. How do we tackle that?
Given the circumstances, to quell the problems, quell the crisis, indeed, as my previous speaker Swat said, it is a step in the right direction. The direction is right, there is no doubt about it. We had to take, they have already filed an affidavit about the rape cases, which the CPA has been handed over the probe, and CPA will certainly do that, justice and their professional. And trial to be held outside the state of Manipur so that the victims are not pressurized, the witnesses are not pressurized at all. This is also a very noble step, very step in the right direction. The question of, as General Simaj again pointed out, the border city. I had already been telling this on the cordon of the Manipur from all state borders, including the international border with Myanmar, and 16-kilometer rule. This is the biggest problem we have had, and as you have already said, the Chin is settling. The 40,000 illegal immigrants have entered over the last few years, last 4 years, and you have this around 700 to 800, as you yourself had said, have entered after the onset of riot. These are all very disturbing. Basically, I have already been suggesting on a long-term basis, let us review the pact with Myanmar about the 16 kilometers route and see who all can enter. I do not say close the 16 kilometers. I say let us review it, recalibrate it, put in more border outposts so that the entry and exit of these infiltrators are known or on record on somewhere in the government dictionary, in the document, so that you will be able to take control of the situation. The open border is certainly not acceptable to that, whether it is India border with Myanmar, or India border with China, or so put in some sort of a regulation. Who all can, whether the Manipur resident can go to Myanmar, walk through, that is for their problem. But when people come from Myanmar, that is something, I think it is for tomorrow or day after tomorrow, whatever day, when this firefighting is over, the confidence building is there, more peace prevails in Manipur. These are all certain steps. Number two, now the people are talking about 356, all sorts of things. Prior to that, I want to just tell one thing. When the state government was directionless, CAPS deployment do not have to hold any water. So that is the reason there should be some sort of a minor amendment in the law that Rapid Action Force or Indian Army, etc., when deployed, can take assessment of the situation under a commanding officer or unified command. They should be able to take the necessary step, not wait for the state leadership, or this is something very, very urgent. We have learnt it from this.
Okay.
This is something very, very urgent.
Okay.
And now I'm sure other things will also take over, more peace will be there. But ultimately, it is a dialogue, the dispute resolution process, which has also to be set in motion. Buffer zones have been created, but some able statesmen from Northeast, accompanied some people from the bureaucracy, should go, or even a retired Supreme High Court of the Guwahati can go and broker and start mediation level talks also, so that these are solved for once for all. That's what I want.
Okay. Ved Bhushan ji, just get into the conversation amidst this rioting and arson that is in total display. But you know, the incidents perhaps are reducing in number. We are not getting reports of every single day there is a new rioting incident that has taken place or a new murder that has happened. But it's far too early to say that the violence has been curbed, because there could be a lull, and then again this continues to happen when the guard of the state government, of the central forces is low. how do we ensure there is lasting peace in the valley?
Mega, it was the need of hour. The investigation was transferred to CBI. CBI is a premier investigating agency of India, and everybody trusts whether it's opposition or ruling party. It's a welcome decision because जो वहाँ पर लोकल पुलिस है उसमें कुकाईज और मेतीज जो है बोथ आर इन्वॉल्व, उनके खिलाफ बड़े सीरियस एलिगेशन है, इवन आर्म्स की चोरी के एलिगेशन है. इट्स वेरी वेरी सीरियस एलिगेशन. जो स्टेबिलिटी लाने के लिए जरूरी था कि इसकी इन्वेस्टिगेशन किसी दूसरी एजेंसी को हैंडओवर की जाए. और आपने देखा होगा सुप्रीम कोर्ट आल्सो टेकन सो मोटो कॉग्निजेंस इन दिस मैटर एंड वेरी एडवर्सली रिमार्क्स अगेंस्ट द मणिपुर गवर्नमेंट. दैट इज द नीड ऑफ द आवर. और ये इन्वेस्टिगेशन जो अभी जिसमें 7 अरेस्ट हुए हैं, इट्स 90 डेज टाइम इन्वेस्टिगेशन का टाइम पुलिस को सीबीआई को मिलता है. तो होपफुली क्योंकि स्टेबिलिटी लाना है पूरे इंडिया में. पार्लियामेंट के अंदर देखें आप, नो कॉन्फिडेंस मोशन चल रहा है. दिल्ली में जंतर मंतर से लेके इम्फाल और चंद्रचूड़पुर तमाम जगह डिमॉन्स्ट्रेशन कंटिन्यूसली. जो स्पेशली जो वीडियोस हैं, जो 2 वुमेन्स के नेकेड वीडियोस हैं, उसको लेकर पूरे हिंदुस्तान इवन फॉरेन कंट्रीज से भी आवाज उठ रही है कि व्हाट वेंट रॉन्ग. तो ये तमाम जो चीजें हैं कि क्योंकि इसमें एक लार्जर क्वेश्चन है कॉन्स्पिरेसी का. देयर इज ए कॉन्स्पिरेसी, और कॉन्स्पिरेसी तभी अनर्थ हो पाएगी जब उसकी इन्वेस्टिगेशन अदर देन मणिपुर पुलिस करेगी. क्योंकि मणिपुर पुलिस तो खुद ही एलिगेशंस के डाउट में है, क्योंकि जो एफआईआर रजिस्टर हुई है, जिसमें जितनी भी एफआईआर हैं, हंड्रेड्स ऑफ एफआईआर रजिस्टर्ड, और स्पेशली 6 एफआईआर इस मामले के अंदर दर्ज हैं. तमाम ये सीबीआई को ट्रांसफर होंगी, और तमाम जो इन्वेस्टिगेशन की जो मैकेनिज्म है, जो एविडेंसेस हैं कलेक्ट किए जाएंगे, और जो एथनिक जो तमाम स्टेट के अंदर जो इश्यूज हैं वो उनको लोकल पुलिस या लोकल एडमिनिस्ट्रेशन या वहाँ की सरकारें डील करेंगी. एज फार द इन्वेस्टिगेशन इज कंसर्न, इसमें तमाम जो फैक्ट्स हैं, जो फैक्ट फाइंडिंग चीज़ें हैं, वो तमाम चीज़ें आएंगी. और वन मोर थिंग की डिमांड की गई है, इसका ट्रायल भी दूसरे स्टेट में हो अदर देन मणिपुर. इट्स ए वेलकम स्टैंड अगेन बिकॉज इट विल क्रिएट ए कॉन्फिडेंस इन द माइंड्स ऑफ मणिपुरी पर्सन्स. तो ये जो शॉर्ट कमिंग्स और लैप्सेज हैं पुलिस के, लोकल पुलिस के खिलाफ बहुत सीरियस एलिगेशंस है. दे डिड नॉट टेकन राइटली एंड वेरी अप्रोप्रिएटली टाइमली एफर्ट्स इन द इन्वेस्टिगेशन ऑफ दिस केसेस. तो इन तमाम चीज़ों से निकल कर आ जाएंगे, और धीरे धीरे जो स्लोली हो रही है, प्रोग्रेस हो रहा है, नॉर्मलसी रिगेन हो रही है. तो एक कॉन्फिडेंस मणिपुर के जो रेजिडेंट्स हैं, वेदर इट्स मैतेई और कुकीज, उनके अंदर जरूर एक ऐसी फीलिंग आएगी कि यह सरकार ने सही टाइम पर अब डिसीजन लिया है. लेट अस वेट फॉर द इन्वेस्टिगेशन.
Okay, there is again, B.S. Vora, you know, there are a lot of politics that is taking place inside the parliament. Outside of it, there are politicians, opposition parties that are raising slogans that are, you know, putting out no confidence motions against the government. Is there pressure that has been put by the opposition that has led to the steps being taken by the central government?
Of course, Megha.
I'm asking this question to BL. I'll come back to you, Ved Bhushan ji.
Okay.
Well, this pressure is definitely one of the factors, but obviously otherwise also government was groping in the dark. Finally, they have come to some strategy. In the past 3 days, one has seen a lot of positive steps. So of course, CBI thing is there. Then, you know, police and army and security forces, they have retaliated with those people, the miscreants, where they were fired, they've been fired back, places like More and all. So I think that lack of initiative was there. Now it is no longer there. But and these are of course steps in the right direction, including the talks which are taking place. But I think 2 things we still have to keep in mind. See, the border, it's easier said than done. Border is for us 1700 kilometers border. And especially in Manipur and Mizoram, we have been crying hoarse. I have done 3 tenures there. We have been talking for decades to seal this border. It has not happened. It's difficult terrain. Besides, it's cost lots of money. Assam Rifles was finally given the responsibility of this border, but they're very thin on ground. Once there was a talk that it should be given to ITBP also. Having said that, I think one thing is that immediately the border in Mizoram and Manipur should be given priority, because people who are coming from the other side are ethnically close to Mizos and these Kukis. They are from Chin state, from there, the Chin people. Now they have been creating a lot of problems. Another problem is that after coming over this side, they have indulged in a lot of poppy cultivation because land in Manipur is more fertile, and it's of course a drug area, Golden Triangle. It is there. One of the reasons for the cookies to retaliate was these immigrants who were settled in Manipur and they were indulging in poppy cultivation. And of course, local cookies were also helping them. About 18,000 acres of poppy cultivation has been destroyed by the government. This was a strong step, but resented by these cookies. And this was one of the reasons for them to strike back. But Mighties also then went after them. But I think this war on illegal migrants and this poppy cultivation should not be slowed down at all. I think it's very, very important to say because people are poor, that is no justification. A lot more can be done for them otherwise. And I think the last point at this juncture I would like to make is that the entire administration and police should be overhauled simultaneously. There are many insiders, there are deep division. They should be sent outside, the locals, the cookies and mathis, those who are under the lens, and neutral officers from outside should be sent and posted there. And whatever steps they have started now, these baby steps, they should become strong steps, and there should be no let up at all in the vigil if we have to succeed finally.
Okay.
It's late, but it's better late than never.
All right.
Yeah.
Major Nalsivach, while we are talking about the insurgency matter, while we'll talk about drugs and arms smuggling that takes place along the border from the Myanmar side and the China angle coming into being as well. But the question that is being continuously raised by the government, whether it's at the center or the state, is that because there's entire case of the courts in Manipur taking the side of the Meiteis and saying that they need to be given the scheduled tribe status is what really rocked the boat. That was the turning point of the situation, or pushed the other cookies and the other tribes to take up their scores, and this entire matter completely flared up. But then are we again talking and doing things just to appease the communities? We are again burying the matter just to sustain peace, and this has been done successively by previous governments as well, because this discussion, this problem does not really get resolved successively, government after government.
Absolutely. Mega problem in this case is this problem is very complex, and simply why it is complex is the way things are going. You are very rightly said that once the court has given a direction that the state government must take up the case with the central government, that Metis also can be given a status of scheduled tribe. The moment the scheduled tribe status is given to them, it means that they will able to also settle down in hills, and also they will able to get jobs as compared to what cookies and Nagas were getting. And that was not liking to the Kuki and Nagas. And also the Metis can't buy the land in the hills, and they were 53% and only holding a 10% of land. So their demand was very genuine, but the other side also have their own demand, and they feel that since they are not that well educated, in case the scheduled tribe status is given to Metis, that the jobs which were coming to them, that will also not come. And this is also fact after a military junta has taken over in Myanmar, lot of influx of Chin population had taken place, and they have settled down in an area which is basically Kuki area, and the poppy cultivation is going in a full swing, and there were also reserve forest which has been in growth. So all these problems are complex. It is not easy. You try to give solution to one, it arises another problem. Remember in 1993, there was a problem between Kukis and Nagas. Before that also the problem is occurred. So now this problem is a complex problem, and they have to sit down together, and they have to make sure that some solution is found out to this in a manner that a peace prevails at the long term. And I suppose that will happen, because the point today is the government is very serious. The action which has been taken by the government, there I durust hai. Now they mean business, they have unified command start
Okay.
functioning. There are combing operation taking place. There are also trying to seal the border between Myanmar and India to ensure the weapons do not come. And I suppose in case there is also a backdoor diplomacy working, that they are trying to resolve the issue between both the community.
Okay,
Because
okay, fair enough. All right, I'm sorry, I'm out of time, so I'll quickly ask my other panelists to take maybe 30 seconds and explain their view. RVS Mani, coming to you now. Particularly when you talk about the border matters, why is it that the government, has the government been lax to begin with, to not deploy armed forces along the border, to not seal our borders up until now, whether it is Mizoram or Manipur or Nagaland?
See, basically what happened, that in the month of March, Viren Singh government started an onslaught on drugs, a war clampdown on drugs. So this High Court issue was just waiting. They were looking for an opportunity to escalate it against the war against. That was not, because these two happened. Although independent of each other, these two happened, and that is the entire camouflage got impetus. So you see that you cannot say the government was unprepared, but the High Court order was a force multiplier to this entire ethnic clashes. Prior to that also, basically the war on drugs had started somewhere in March, if my information is correct. So they were waiting to retaliate, and that is where the issue is happened. Now it has taken a right course. I am sure the government will do and walk you ahead in a much more peaceful manner.
Okay, quickly, BL Voda, then is this a situation because the government was getting to the root of the situation, trying to resolve the crisis once and for all, fighting on the insurgency, fighting on the smuggling that takes place, that there has been an outburst by the communities that get directly impacted by it?
Ms. Megha, there is no insurgency at the moment there. About the border, another important issue is that according to our agreement with Burma, with Myanmar, 20 kilometers, up to 20 kilometers, people living on either side of the border, they are allowed free movement for the local trading. Now, that is of course to facilitate the local economies, but that is being taken advantage by the local communities from the other side and from this side to indulge in a lot of smuggling of all kinds. So I think maybe they should temporarily suspend this. Of course, it will lead to some hardship, but some financial help can be given. I think this is very, very, very important. Now, second is, of course, whatever steps they have taken, it should continue at the moment. See, on 90% land, 10% population lives. I think this is also, after all, it is India. Anyone can go anywhere. See, tribals can buy land in Maiti land. They can come to Valley, and it's not vice versa. Secondly, you may be knowing, see, most of the officers in Manipur are cookie officers. The Director General of the Police in Manipur for 7 years have been two cookie officers. One was for 4 years, the other for 3 years now. Next in line was another cookie officer. So I think in our country, the problem is we always give preference to the officers of the land, of the local soil, give them important positions.
Okay.
Then why are you recruiting IAS, IPS officers?
Okay.
I think by seniority, senior most competent persons from whichever state he is, but allotted there, he should be given these important positions.
Fair enough.
For more such videos, subscribe to the NewsX YouTube channel, hit the bell icon.